Here we go.
It's going to be harder for me to see.
Wait, we're recording. Here we go.
I don't know how to make the noise of this.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, welcome y'all. Woo, that's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 77 for Thursday, December 22nd, 2016. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace, joining the PETM Podcast studio with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Hey, man, you sprung some Christmas rocking stuff on me. I wasn't ready for that.
No, you weren't. You had this look on your face.
I grooved in there. Not very well.
Oh, it was, you know what? You
just
jumped right in, did what you had to do.
Yeah.
Our Christmas episode. We did one last year. We're doing one this year. We're having fun. We've got a special guest on tonight. If you're watching on the Periscope, you might notice something a little new this time. We've got the whole Periscope producer thing that they've come out with. And very recently, they came out with that. You can now stream from your computer, which means you can use all this fancy stuff. So I've got 3 cameras, multiple microphones, and all this crazy stuff going. But on top of all that, we've got a special guest tonight, dude.
Yeah, we do. I think some of the folks, at least listening, will be familiar with her by name or perhaps by segment.
By segment, for sure. She's owner of Stange Racing in the K&N Series. She runs StangeRacing.com. On Twitter, you can find her at Ashley J. Stange, S-T-A-N-G-E, or at Team Stange. And, of course, she's a weekly contributor, if I can read my own words here. I've only had like a quarter beer. Weekly contributor to the Strange with Stange segment of the PETM podcast. Y'all welcome to the show, Miss Ashley J. Stange. What's up, Ashley?
Hi there, guys. How are ya?
Awesome.
Very good.
As always.
Yeah, especially 3 days before Christmas?
Yeah, getting ready for Christmas. How you? Have you finished your shopping yet?
Of course not. Absolutely not.
Well, I didn't know if you were one of those. Like, my mom finishes, and I'm not saying you're my mom. I'm just saying she finishes shopping in like July, and she's like, I got everybody's Christmas present. Are you kidding me?
No. I'm usually chugging along, probably like midnight, Christmas Eve even, where I'm like, all right, I've got to stop by somewhere, grab something else.
So more like the rest of my family deal. How about you, Sherwin? You done yet?
Ask me if I've started.
I won't ask you. Let's not ask.
No, I'm not finished.
No, I'm not finished. Oh, good deal. So, you know how we start this thing off, Ashley. What you drinking tonight?
Well, if I may, actually.
You may always.
Or not. I am actually.
Look at you.
I have never tried it, but in light of recent events, I figured I would give it a shot. I'm not an energy drinker, but it is a Monster Energy. I don't know what an original. I guess.
Yeah. That's the one. Yeah, the one me and Sherwin had last week. I'll tell you. So after the show, we were winding down, and I felt like I drank like 3/4 of this thing last time, and I proceeded to pour it out into my pint glass, and I almost fill up the pint glass, and I go, I can't finish this thing. I can't do it.
That's too much caffeine.
Yeah, I'm not used to that. And Sherwin hands me his and says, let's just dump these out. And he's got about as much left as I did. So I don't know. Maybe I need training wheels or something for the Monster Energy. I don't know if a 16-ounce can is.
I'll give it a good rating. It's kind of like a Jolly Rancher / I mean, it's a journey.
Right.
The first sip was a journey.
We all know how we start this thing. It's episode number 77. We'll get back to Ashley in just one second, but car number 77. We've got a couple guys to talk about, Sherwin. Number 1, Robert Pressley. 133 of his 205 races in NASCAR were in the number 77. He was in the mid to late 90s. Took over for Harry Gant. There's one of those names that keeps coming up on the car number segment.
Yeah, Harry Gant was definitely all over the place, and I definitely recognize Robert Pressley.
Yep.
I wouldn't have associated him with 77 for any reason or other, but that name has definitely come up as we've looked back into the lore that is NASCAR history.
For sure. He was a runner-up for Rookie of the Year to Ricky Craven, the Sensei.
Goodness. Wow.
Yep.
What was that, like 1995?
Yep, exactly 95. Spends his time now helping his son Coleman. What a great name. I like that
Coleman
name.
Pressley.
Coleman
Maybe that's
Yep.
why Pressley rings
In
such
his
a bell.
NASCAR career. Yeah. And he's also the promoter for Kingsport Speedway in Kingsport, Tennessee. And I had to bring this one up. So first off, cheers to Robert Pressley doing his thing and, wishing good tidings on his son. We have a winner, finally. This is the only win in like the last 4 car numbers, and it was only one win, but it's a great win. This is Joe Lee Johnson in the number 77. He won the inaugural 1960 World 600, now the Coke 600.
Goodness.
But he won the very first one, no relation to Jimmy Johnson or Junior Johnson, obviously not Jimmy, if you know his sort of history, but no relation to Junior either. He was a 1959 NASCAR convertible division champion, and he owned Cleveland Speedway in Cleveland, Tennessee. Passed away in 2005 at age 75. There's been one win in car number 77, and that was him in the World 600 there. So cheers to him, and there it is. Speaking of cheers, Sherwin, I don't think I asked you the question either. What you drinking on today?
Okay, so I decided I was definitely going to get something different, something I hadn't had before. But I was just going to look for marketing. I was looking for a label and a brew style that I like. So I ended up with the Wicked Weed Napoleon Complex Hoppy Pale Ale. Happy to not have a Napoleon Complex myself, but this beer is pretty damn good. Well, at 5'11", cool. I don't think I have to own it.
Wicked Weed out of Asheville, right? I've been over to that brewery. That place is great.
North Carolina beer.
We gotta maybe stop by there on our next trip into Bristol. So we might do that. Now listen to this. New Belgium, I went and got one of their tackle box deals. It's called the Chocolate Chip Cookie Dough Ale, and it's like got Ben and Jerry's branding on it. So
I've had that. I had that at Taco Mac the other day.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I liked it just fine.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's not bad at all. What are you mashing buttons on over there? He's getting all
I can't load the
button mashing
Periscope,
going on.
so I'm afraid nobody else can.
Well, at least a couple of 70 people or so can. So back to Ashley. So Ashley, we get to see your fun side every week, and what you're and always have the fun question. What inspired you?
Fun all the time.
What inspired you to start asking those questions? Because that just became a thing that's been so fun for us.
And I appreciate what you guys do. It's hard to, put yourself out there a lot of times. But racing's fun just in general. So, I kind of think of them. I usually with my friends, my family, I'm usually, I don't want to say I'm not serious, but when something pops into my head, I don't have much of a filter, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So if I want to answer to something from somebody, I usually just ask them, well, what do you think about this? And, and sometimes they're caught off guard. They're not usually very surprised anymore. So I just started thinking about asking you guys some stuff. So, it's been fun. And you guys have you've been good sports about it, actually, because I know a couple of them were not the easiest questions in the world to ask.
It's been fun.
It's been brain teasers, if nothing else. We scratch our heads and we're going, what in the? Okay, here goes nothing.
Right. I was like, what in the hell is she trying to get out of us on this?
Right. So
that's the point.
Yeah. Well, so why don't you talk to us about what you actually do outside of asking us wacko questions on the podcast? What's the Team Stange Racing all about?
Well, so we compete in K&N, as you know. We primarily competed in K&N last year in 2015. We made that change last year for various different reasons, but we also are an ARCA team. So, in the tracks that we get to go to for ARCA, like Daytona this year, 2016, we raced at Daytona with ARCA, came in 5th with Frank Kimmel, the 10-time champion of ARCA, and that was really exciting. That was fun. So, I'd like to say that I can say more about 2017, but there are going to be some very big announcements in about 3 weeks from now.
Oh,
which,
man.
Of course, I'm happy to tell you guys very, very big announcements. We're working on some big deals with some other series. which of course, I'm not allowed to say who. But it's going to be a pretty exciting 2017. But so we do ARCA and K&N, and it's an honor to be at any of the tracks with the big cars, and especially with ARCA being at Daytona, because that's really like that is, going there. It is really like just getting involved in racing and being at any of these tracks. When they say it's like it's crazy there. I mean, you can end up spending a lot of money at Daytona, like no matter what series you're in. And there is some, I don't want to call them freaks, but there is just some freaks in racing that are, I mean, they want to win. Everybody wants to win, of course. So that's been really exciting. Daytona's been fun, especially this year coming in fifth. That was big for us. And I had a lot of fun working with Frank too. He's a great guy.
Well, we're looking forward to the announcements then. You've given me a teaser. Now I'm chomping at the bit.
Quite a teaser. I know. You guys will like it. It's going to be exciting. And it's what, along the lines of really what we have always, things that we always were geared toward to do anyways. We decided we started an ARCA actually in 2014, not in racing, being in the motorsports industry, but in being on the track, actually having to be our own team. We started in 2014 at Daytona there with ARCA, and decided to buy Larry Clement Racing, the number 46, who won 9 out of the 10 championships with Frank Kimmel. And so, of course, it was like a no-brainer if we're going to get involved in racing and kind of want to get our feet wet in a sense of us owning the team and really putting to work what we already knew we could do. We were able to do that, and it's been kind of it's been a crazy ride ever since, really.
That's very cool. I know Rusty and I have been kicking back and forth some ideas about doing some kind of a compilation or a drop piece episode. We'd really like to record some audio with you when you are able to tell us what you're up to. Maybe we can't necessarily play it the same day you give it to us, but that would be fun.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I'd be happy to. I mean, I love talking about racing, whether it's, other people. I'm always happy for other people when things happen to them, when deals go through, us. Hopefully people are happy for us when our deals go through, which, there's a team that obviously we're going to be talking about very shortly that I'm really happy for. And, I'm just always really happy for people that love racing, because we're in one of the most unbelievable sports in the world, that even open wheel racing, the Indy 500 it's called the greatest spectacle in the world for a reason. Racing started, it's family oriented, it's business. I mean, every single type of aspect of anybody's life, they can really relate to racing in one way or another. So I love it, and I'm glad I met my husband, because now I get to do what I love doing instead of teaching high school kids chemistry. So it's
man. That's impressive. Oop, look at me. I'm messing with video on the fly here.
Yeah, segue to
to me messing up stuff.
Yeah. So I think we want to get a quick hit on, we always have a little bit of a segment that's not related to NASCAR or stock car racing. I always want to do a blip on MMA, because I think there's a lot of crossover. We talked about the Venn diagram of what NASCAR reaches outside. There was an announcement this week that the Brock Lesnar Mark Hunt contest is officially off in terms of the result. So Lesnar was suspended for a year for being dope positive, and gets to keep all his money minus the fine. And yay, MMA got ratings, so nobody cares.
Yikes.
It's kind of a weird thing.
Each other up, that's what it is, right?
That's it.
It's not boxing. I do not follow MMA at all, and I hear people talking about it all the time. So they just punch each other in the face a lot, right?
Well, that's a lot of it. So I mean, one of the big the reasons why I started really getting deep into it is because when Kevin Harvick Incorporated decided they didn't want to race cars anymore and they wanted to manage talent. One of the first things they started doing was signing MMA talent. and more specifically Misha Tate, who basically just announced her retirement, and Cowboy Cerrone, who's just kicking guys' heads off. So it was like, this will be a really fun way to see if we can meld these two arenas together by doing just a little bit, just hit it there, boom, all right, and then we move on. But yeah.
That's great.
Well, cool. So, strange segue there, but so you've got a name there on your team, Gustafson. Tell me how that name, because that's not exactly, that's a pretty unique name, and it's pretty well known in this racing circuit. So curious how that happened.
So, and with anything in racing, there's always a story. So I got a story. So,
excellent.
Back in 2000, I shouldn't say too far long ago. So it was in 2015, and we went to it was Greenville Pickens, and we met a gentleman there, the nicest, really just like a super fan of ours, of racing, of K&N in general, and we're the type of team. I mean, if somebody wants to hang around us. I mean, we are, we like to have fun and everything, but like you guys always say, hope we didn't scare you off. We really just hope that we don't scare anybody off. That's kind of like my goal, is just to not.
I think it's circular. It goes around, right?
Just in terms of, we like to have fun. But so if somebody's a fan of ours and wants to hang out, I am all for it. So we met, and his nickname is Short Hands, and he pretty much has not left our side. I mean, if talk about a fan who just, pays his own way. We're not even expecting for him to show up. So anyways, fast forward, he's actually very good friends of John Gustafson's family. So that's how we actually ended up getting connected with him. So, and I mean, really, when I finally met him, you wouldn't know he was the age that he is, the knowledge that he has about cars, and just really works on everything. So I'm like, this was one situation where I really felt like, if your grandfather's going to help, all right, let's do a race. Let's do it. Let's, kind of in a favor kind of a thing. And, the race I was really just crushed for him, because he's such a hard worker, so hard on that car. There and worked the butts off for straight car, the team and everything else. He was helping, and so he was only able to laugh. Because NASCAR did a favor.
Well, you know what? I think we're kind of hitting our bump stop here on the
figure out how to reboot or change.
Yeah, on the Skype there. So I'll work on doing that with Ashley. We've got a lot more we want to talk to her about there, and we'll get her back on the line here in just a moment. But yeah, so I'm very interested in what she has to say about Gustafson and how all that happened and what's going on. Hey there, Ashley.
Oh, yep, I'm here.
We got you back. Oh. That's much better. I don't know what happened, but we lost you there, and so now we're back in business.
All right. It's Rusty, all of his, techno gear and everything. It's like...
Yep. I'm a mess.
Well, we're trying new stuff. So.
Yeah.
Basically, that's how we met him, was from being at the track and through a friend. And that's just the funny thing about racing, is whether it's a friend or something, when you really have a family-oriented type of team, because we are a small team. I'm not going to say that we're, this big, huge team and we're going for championships and everything else. We're a small team, and everybody does the job of probably 2 to 3 people. They want it done right, and they also like doing it, and they like putting in the time. So that's how we met him. That's how that ended up happening, and he's a great kid, and I wish that he was able to race more of that race, because I just think that he would have done phenomenally. There was a mistake that happened, and which I don't know, I'll probably get in trouble for telling it to you. We ended up and got taken out of the race. There was a crew member. It was no one's fault except for this one crew member. Hopped in the car and drove it. You're not allowed to do that. NASCAR does not like that when the driver is not driving the car.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, what is that?
they don't like that. They were very kind, I think, for what happened. And but a kid jumped in the car, and then they were like, I'm sorry, but you guys can't, this is not okay. So they let him, turn 2 laps and as a favor to him to at least get out there. And we're going to have more opportunities with them. I'm really excited to work with him. I really am. He's such a great kid. He's fun to talk to, really fun to talk to.
So some fun questions for you. What's your favorite experience at the racetrack? What's your favorite thing you've done so far?
Oh, okay. So my favorite experience, aside from coming in 5th at Daytona, which was collectively like the whole week. And I mean, it was fun. But I would say in 2014, our very first race, we, I was so distracted at the time. There was an early caution, the big one, our big one came at about lap 13. And my husband, who's really good at strategy, and I think he gets that a lot from his open wheel racing experience. There's a lot of strategy involved with that. And there is with stock car too. But, sometimes, that happens. And it was lap 13. Everybody's coming in for fuel. We had Miriam Defoe driving, a Canadian driver. And we knew that our car, we did want the TV time. We wanted her to have a chance to get up to the French qualifying, which was great. We knew our car was not the best qualifying car. We knew that it was a great car. That same car ended up coming in 5th 2 years later. So, but when I looked up on the leaderboard, my husband pointed up at the leaderboard, and and he's like, "How do you like that?" And we were leading the race.
Oh, wow.
And although it was only 4 laps, it was just an amazing feeling that, hey, look at that, 46, number 1. Like, that's great. And
yanking out your phones and taking pictures.
Yeah, I mean, oh God, yes, of course. And I was just like, this is so great. We ended up finishing 18th, but she hammered it out. She really stayed up there for a while in the top 5 spot for a good 30, 40 laps. And then just kind of ended up falling back and which, I mean, she did a great job. She did a great job.
That's a good story.
Probably my best on-track experience, I would say. I want to say this is a little bit more like an embarrassing one, but it was great to meet the person.
Having connection problems again there. Unfortunately, we'll get her back. We're going to try to just go.
Y'all bear with us.
Yeah,
we're fighting through this thing. We're trying to do a little bit of learning.
First time doing this
Christmas
stuff.
break. Just get this stuff right for y'all.
Yep. So we're coming back on. Oh goodness, and you can hear my Skype going and all that. We got you back again. Sorry about all this. You're our guinea pig for all of our new stuff going on. So it's is what it is.
So I don't know where you guys ended up, where I left off, where you heard me. I think it was the story of and this is a quick one. I'm married for about 3 years or so with my husband. He's working with an IndyCar team. At the time, it was actually it was Champ Car at the time. They were still split. So I'm standing over by a hauler, and we're just everybody's loading up and everything, and I had to go to the bathroom really bad, and there's porta potties everywhere. I'm like, I'm not using a porta potty. This is ridiculous. So I go up to a man standing there. He's got like bifocals on, and I walk up to him, and I'm like, excuse me, sir. Do you know? Is there another bathroom that I could use? Not. And he looks at me and he's like, oh, there is one over in the media center or whatever, but it's still just as far. And I'm like, that's a really nice pink shirt. You really pull it off. That's really great. That's a really great shirt. And so we start talking for like maybe a minute or so. I asked him, oh, so what team are you with? And he kind of starts laughing and smirking to himself. He's like, oh, I'm over with Newman Haas. I'm over with that team. And I'm just like, oh, what do you do for them? So anyways, later on the conversation goes, he says, who's your husband? I tell him, he says, oh, John, that's great. Tell him that, now the person's nickname, I guess that they called him PL. He said, tell him that PL says hi. He says, okay, all right, I'll let him know. So I go to my husband, and I'm like, oh, I guess some guy named PL says hi. And he's like, you met Paul Newman? And I was like, no, I don't think so. That's not. And now that just dates me for how young I am, I think, not how old I am.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, I'm like, who is that? And I was so embarrassed and upset. So I'm like, well, now I have like so many more questions to ask him. So I ended up and met him and had absolutely no idea that I met him. And he thought it was very comical, very funny later on when I ended up actually met him. I'm so sorry because I was so embarrassed, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, sing legend, sponsor, I mean, it's so much of the sport. So, so that was more of like an embarrassing story, I guess.
I mean, that'll happen.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it happened a lot to me because I mean, I'm 21 years old. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Let's see. So we've got a few fan questions this week. First, we've got Mick Rose. Mick Rose at GoDucks42_Mick. He's talked to us a couple times before. He's asking us, would a midweek race work in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series?
I think so. 100%. Don't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we've talked about it, Sherwin. We've talked about it on the podcast
would.
before.
I think they could make it work if they really wanted to, especially in July or June.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I absolutely think so. You know, then that's one of the things that, you know, it's interesting because I mean, a lot of the people, yeah, they travel for these races. Of course they do. You know, you got that man that will travel. You maybe they pick, like, you pick races and you want to go, and you do that. And I don't think that, you know, there is also people that are close enough who absolutely, you know, in that market, if they found the right market, they found the right place and the demographic. If they did enough work, 100% a Wednesday night race. You know, I mean, people, I think it's all over it. It might take a few years for that particular race to, you know, be able to turn a profit, let's say, or things like that, or to have it work out in the long run. But I absolutely think that a nighttime week race would be actually a lot of fun. That would be super fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think the thing is what they have to do, and so this is that pie in the sky thing that we talk about all the time. That's impossible because the schedule's set for 3 more years in terms of what tracks get what amount of races. But you know, after that, you have a chance to do a one-off. Like, okay, so Eldora obviously attracts a lot of attention. It gets a very good in-person audience, especially for what the track normally gets, and it gets a good television audience. And I think we should focus more on let's leave them wanting more, as Rusty always says, leave them wanting more, so that if you did a weekend race, it would need to be somewhere near Charlotte so that the logistics make sense for the teams. And who cares if you only sell 20,000 tickets?
Right.
Because you might have 4 million people watching on TV if that's the only major sport on that night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that you bring up a really good point. That the ticket sales is one thing. I know that the promoters of the race, or in this car, if NASCAR owns the track or whatever, I know they want to sell, whether it's refreshments or they make money from concessions, they make money from that stuff. But there's also the side of that would there be also more companies want to get involved on the TV side of it, that they know that, hey, Wednesday night, Thursday night, everybody's at home, kids have school the next day. Why not pop on the race for a few hours? And they would absolutely probably get a lot of, definitely a lot of coverage with that. Yep.
Can't agree more. And like I said, we've talked about it on this podcast before. Definitely a huge fan of doing something like that. And look what it does for Eldora. We've talked about that. I keep saying we talk about it, but yeah, it's definitely, let's see it happen.
Well, we don't want to oversaturate. So, I mean, I think the best thing to do is probably to add an Xfinity race and see what it does.
Well, and it goes along with what a lot of people are saying right now in terms of shortening the season a bit too.
That's where I was going next.
Oh, okay.
You
just stepped right into your stuff.
No, it was fine. It's perfect. Now, what I would want to say is anything we can do to shrink the schedule up to where NASCAR's not competing on Saturdays and Sundays with college football and NFL that really, really matter, which right now we're like in week 10, 11, and 12 trying to do some NASCAR championship stuff and really want attention. And, there's bigger things to pay attention to, like rivalry football games in college and NFL games that are really turning point games for for their playoff potential.
So I liked this question that we got, too. Colby McClams at KGEE61 asked a couple questions. This one I really like, though. What's a company brand you would want to see NASCAR partner with and why? Sherwin, did you get a chance?
Yeah.
Oh, you got one, Ashley?
Oh, for sure. Because I've talked about, this has come up like in other conversations I've had with people and especially after the Monster, people talk about this all the time that I talk to, but 100%, and I don't think it's ever going to happen, but Walmart for sure. Because they have every industry, every consumer product, everything you can think. They're like the one-stop shop in everywhere. And, everybody goes there for pretty much every single product that they need, including automotive. So, that would be a great partner with NASCAR because, they sell all the products of people who are either involved in NASCAR or want to be, or need some help, maybe a retail partner, really similar to the way that, and you guys can look into this, really similar to the way that, Menards is with the ARCA series. It's one of the reasons why it works so great because they're a great retail partner. So they're able to give a lot to other sponsors in business to business. So it's really helpful. And so, Walmart's like a home run for sure would be for them, but I know it'll never happen. It's just
what I really like about that too is Sherwin, think of the races we go to. Every one of them's got a Wally World just down the street, and we always hit it up right before the race.
Well, we certainly know the ones that are there.
Yep.
Bristol is a given, just so we can drag less stuff 300 miles. Darlington, not so much, but Atlanta for sure.
Atlanta. Charlotte, I think. Did we hit up Wally World for that one?
I can't remember, but it wouldn't surprise me if we did just about everywhere we've been so far because, like Ashley said, they have all of the things. And they've got all of the things from all the participants. They've got Kleenex and they've got Puffs. They've got Huggies and they've got Pampers. They've got Suave and they've got Gain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really everything.
Sherwin, what do you think?
Those like tires, there's oil. They sell literally. I could go on and on. It's like a home run. And I'm sure they've probably in some sense tried. I can't see them not. I just don't. Walmart is a type of company that some people don't like to shop there for reasons, ethical reasons, whatever it is. But I think it would strengthen the sport. It would just having a partner like that for other sponsors, business.
I think NASCAR in the future, and who knows what the future of this Monster, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. We don't know how long yet. There's for sure 2, potential for 4 and more, depending on how it goes. But I think in the future, NASCAR should look to brand as NASCAR and then have partner sponsorship like the NFL has done with Bud Light. They've done with Budweiser in the past, and they've done with Miller Lite with this is the NFL brought to you by Bud Light. This is NASCAR Cup Series racing brought to you by Walmart or brought to you by whoever.
And their hand might be forced into that if they can't find look how long it took them to find a primary sponsor here. They may have to split it between 3 different companies and do exactly what you're saying anyway. But I think that's a good idea either way.
All the more reason to have some sort of separation of branding on whether or not you race on Saturday night or Sunday afternoon or potentially do some of this weekday racing. You could have a different partner for all of those to get exposure that would end up being a total monetary commitment that be more commensurate of what NASCAR thinks they should have as a title sponsor.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and do something completely crazy. And let me make sure, what is a company brand you want to see NASCAR to partner with and why? I'm going to say the NFL itself.
Hell yes.
Oh,
so,
okay.
the widest audience in any sport or any viewing experience on television.
And there's a huge NFL fan base everywhere there's a racetrack.
Yep. And I think that would also help if they were partnering somehow to schedule things such that NFL and NASCAR wouldn't necessarily be competing either. Obviously, that's going to be tough in certain cases.
NFL is about 10x in terms of viewership. But they're experiencing their own losses this year, and they're having to recalibrate themselves, as are all of the other sports.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the peak was the last 2 years has kind of normalized itself.
I think people like you and me stopping doing fantasy football and getting, we've used the word oversaturated now.
Anymore.
Yeah. You get to a point where you just can't deal with it anymore.
I quit playing the NASCAR league that I'm supposed to be the
commissioner
of. I got to figure out a PayPal account that doesn't have enough money in it to get all these people paid back and get their winnings.
Sure owes me some money.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. So yeah, I think that'd be great. So Colby also asked, what does the Monster partnership do for the branding direction of NASCAR? And I think I want to ask that alongside the question that they have that they've decided to call it the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. We've said it a couple times here. For me, I love that name. I think of all the word salad and all the names that you could put in the hat and pull out in some order, I think they did a good job pulling it out in the right order and making something. I like that it's the NASCAR Cup Series because that means that might be able to or that will happen for the next sponsor and the next sponsor. It's always a NASCAR Cup Series. And going along with what you just said, Sherwin, that you can just switch that name out mid-season if you need to.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And I haven't seen you been drinking on that Monster Energy very much there, Ashley. Is it is it a tough one to down?
And to more.
No, I'm telling you, it was a journey.
It's a journey.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not an energy drinking type of person. It's very sweet. I mean, I'll tell you, it's very sweet.
Yep. You're going to hang up with us and pour out about 14 of the 16 ounces just like we did
There's a ton of sugar in that stuff.
Yep. Well, so there's the sugar-free stuff or the low-sugar stuff. There's also somebody posted a picture of one that's like tea. Now, you get us into some twisted tea.
Oh, my God. I could go for that.
See?
I could pour some vodka in that.
I thought I was very overwhelmed. I'm going to be honest with you. I was feeling very overwhelmed. I'm like, there's 12 of these things, which is great for them. That means they're selling them. So it's great. And it's something. I could get used to it.
Yep. Well, likewise.
Well, I thought, a manager of a race car driver and a spotter mentioned something on his podcast earlier in the week that I thought made a lot of sense for somebody who has a lot of awareness to this type of business, and saying that, there's a very significant number of the racetracks that are in NASCAR that are Coca-Cola sponsored and Coca-Cola vendor racetracks. And the fact that Coca-Cola has, depending on which outlet you look at, between 16 and a 19% interest in Monster Energy Company, I believe. I don't know if it's Monster Energy Beverages or Monster Energy Company, but those are two different entities. We won't digress that far. But the fact that Coca-Cola may play a role in whether or not you can buy this product at the racetrack because of them being the official beverage of the racetrack is it probably played a big role in them being able to come on board.
Yeah. So
a lot of them have Red Bull. And to go back to his question too, what they're going to do for the sport too. I see a lot of really good things, and one of the reasons why is just Monster is they're really hands on. They like to touch customers, like a lot of the guerrilla marketing type of mentality, and not a lot of companies or necessarily like that. They have very big corporate type of budgets, and this guy handles this, the guy, but they're really I could see them really just really being everywhere, having a lot of different type of event type of things to have it be a lot of fun at the track and have them I just think that their creativity will be endless. it's going to be an endless type of possibility.
That's a good point.
That is a really good point. And we would be remiss if we didn't ask you, as a female race team owner and a female race fan, what you thought about the whole Monster Girl thing and whether or not that was a sort of anti-feminism type situation.
So, it's not really my style. I mean, it's obviously not going to make me buy anymore, but it sex sells. It really does. And I'm just going to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It does. And no matter how, racing is sexy and girls are sexy. I think there's tasteful ways to do things. Sometimes I think that, sometimes people kind of go a little bit overboard, with the marketing part of this stuff. But, I can't say like I'm offended because I'm not surprised. It's sort of I'm expecting things like that. So
mm-hmm.
I can't, I would never do it, like take off my shirt for somebody or whatever to try and sell something. But, I'm not surprised. I'm just not surprised. So it's not like an upsetting thing for me. But, I have 2 girls. So I see, your point, kind of, just being a female in motorsports in general. I can't say that I don't get a lot of sexist comments or things like that, but you really can't let it bother you because sometimes they're not trying to be offensive. Sometimes they don't know, what you do for your team. So it kind of, it's sort of the mentality of the entire sport in a lot of sense. It's kind of the way that things are driven marketing wise. Say, hey, let's throw pretty girl in there. So it's not very creative, but I see why they're doing it. I totally get why they're doing it.
Yeah, but I think it's fair to represent both sides of the equation, especially since we're 2 guys sitting on the other side of this thing, and we certainly have our opinion of. Well, I don't know that it's necessarily necessary, but it's interesting. I mean, we knew what we were probably going to get based on their involvement with Supercross and the PBR,
Sure.
which are both pretty large extreme sporting industries that certainly want to attract as many female viewers and attendees as possible, but they also understand, how sexy riding bulls and riding motorcycles might be potentially, and so there's a balance there.
Yeah, there is that fine line, most of the time, companies blow right past it, but there's a line, and most of the time, it doesn't bother me. Sometimes I'm a little like, wow, that poor girl. I kind of feel worse for the girl that's having to do it because, I'm sure that's not where she wanted to be in life at that moment in time. So, it's kind of, hopefully they won't, make it all about that. I'm hoping, and a lot more about the racing, because then it does make it hard for women in motorsports in general, whether it's drivers. I mean, because that goes in that direction a lot of the time with drivers. I really don't see a lot of men getting naked. You know what I mean? When they're a driver, or kind of sexy photo shoots or things like that. But it's like I said, I get why they do it. But then it kind of takes away from the skill, or takes away from maybe some skilled female drivers who I kind of almost feel like females were taken more seriously in racing, due to their skills, a lot longer ago. That it was, because they had to be good enough to make it. So now it's changed a little bit, but to each their own, I guess. Each their own.
So let's get into some fun. It's 3 days before Christmas. Let's talk about some best Christmas memories. Sherwin, I know you put this in the show notes. Did you have something in mind as you were thinking about this? Some of your favorite Christmas memories there?
I had it in mind because it is Christmas. I think I wanted to ask Ashley, but I'll go first. Honestly, in all seriousness, outside of the Tonka truck like bulldozer era.
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe past age about 9.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure the best gift I've ever gotten for Christmas I got as like a 32-year-old. And I think you had some sort of involvement in that.
Oh, yeah? Which one was it?
I think maybe my parents might have called you and said, "Is this a good idea?"
Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but your parents calling me has been going for a decade. I think we're about 10 years into this. Sherman's parents calling Rusty for ideas. Sometimes I give them just like a little taste or something, and most of the time I give them like a general. Here's where to think, and they execute. They do a great job of it.
Cute. Your wife giving your parents ideas.
That's right. So I think I know him best in that respect.
I think that what it really proves in the end is that Sherwins are about execution and not creativity. Because I know I've never gotten one call from Mama or Daddy Wallace about what would be a good Christmas idea.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. I would say my best Christmas memory. This one, because I tell people sometimes, because they're like, "Oh, you work in the software industry and this and that, and blah blah," and you might hear somebody, "Oh, software, you're at the race, software, hell." Well, what's the deal with that? And I say, well, let me tell you this. I spent Christmas in 1992 or 1993 in a double-wide trailer, sitting on the couch eating Christmas dinner between my dad and my great-grandmother while watching Jerry Springer. And
oh, wow.
So, so to the people who say, whatever they want to say about the guy in software, it's more like, yeah, I got out. I got out of the way of that stuff and went and sort of did my own thing. But and at the time, you don't really think about it. Jerry Springer's on. You got to find somewhere to sit down. Who knows why? And then you look a few days later and you go, I can't believe I just had Christmas dinner in a double-wide trailer in the middle of a couch watching Jerry Springer.
That sounds like a great Christmas.
Yeah, right? It's almost like made up. There's too many levels of something going on there, but definitely happened. Ashley, what about you?
Well, I'm Italian, so we have parties for like hangnails. So I see my family probably more than I should, but we have 28 first cousins on one side.
Oh,
and
wow.
21 on the other. So and we're all very close. We have
Catholic
we have
Italian?
what's called Cousin. So I probably by Christmas, by the end of the year, I've like just about had enough of them. Like it's really.
Is there another kind?
But I would say so. Honestly, my best Christmas was probably because it was the most peaceful. I would say the first year that my daughter was born. Because she was
great.
born in February, and then we had a very long year because she was born in February. So everybody wanted to see the first great grandbaby. So it was a long year. So we had Christmas on our own actually. So it was the first year that I went to no family parties. Which sounds horrible.
Were you miserable at that time? I mean, that's what 7 to 8 months pregnant at that point.
It was. Well. We were married the August before. I had her in February. So, yeah, she was a little early. I'm going to do quotations and say she was born a little early.
Okay.
Like I say, in Chicago, or in the Midwest, like the up north here, not as many people believe in guns up here. So we have shotgun weddings instead so that so nobody gets in trouble. No, we were very much in love. So we were, it was quiet. It was just so quiet. It was kind of bizarre that year. And we didn't even do presents. It was just like nice and quiet and peaceful. And it was great. And I want to emulate that like so badly every year.
Now you've got more kids and more dogs and more family and 21st cousins.
It's just, it's a process. It is.
So Sherwin, we've got, this is kind of cool news, kind of Venn diagram connecting here on two things that we are big fans of, Georgia Tech football and NASCAR. Just this week, or maybe it was last week, we heard that offensive lineman Eason Framayan is talking about leaving Georgia Tech to go be on a NASCAR pit crew.
Yeah, this became regional and national news because ESPN finally decided to print it, but the local paper was on it back in November. So Georgia Tech had a starting offensive lineman. Who there's some pictures floating around of him in a Jeff Gordon jacket when it looks like he's obviously maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 3 years old. Who knows? Is graduating. I guess just graduated. We would know that because of her wife. Graduated this past Saturday, and with express intention of becoming a jackman in NASCAR, has left Georgia Tech with 1 year of football eligibility to go train to be a jackman in NASCAR.
That's so cool. That's
that is got to be athletic. I mean, it makes sense.
Well, we've said it here, like. That is a great feeder system, which, I mean, it's hard to say like the rejects of NFL, but people go to Combine for NFL. If they don't make it or something, they're looking for options. What a great place to be in a thing that requires, I would say, a pretty similar skill set. You want that quick muscle stuff. You want that stuff that's, just do something for 15 seconds as hard as you can. You got to be lifting stuff, lifting heavy stuff.
It's totally three-dimensional movement.
High impact, all that stuff. It's perfect for somebody like that.
Yeah. Those tires are heavy. Really heavy.
Tire wheel combinations now are close to 80 pounds.
Good grief. Yeah, and they're slinging them around like they're, I don't know, a donut tire.
Well, and the thing that's not mentioned a whole lot now is the big teams, and I'm talking your JGRs, your Hendricks, your Stewart-Haas, and now Stewart-Haas, and your RCRs. They're holding combines for pit crews, and they're training 7, 8, maybe 10 pit crews, and they're loaning these guys out to the teams that can't afford to do that kind of development and strength performance and diet stuff and all the things that make an elite athlete. They're farming those guys out so that one day they can make the A team, right? They have like an A through F or A through H. Program. If you're Hendrick, you're like,
they've got the combine. We've seen that combine.
Yeah,
that
it's crazy. So like when they have somebody fighting for the championship, like Elliott Sadler, in the Xfinity Series, like half that team's part of Jimmy Johnson's team.
Ashley, how do you get your pit crew?
That's one of the things that I was saying that it's very common in ARCA, particularly K&N. I'm sorry, if you cannot change a tire or put some fuel in that car in 5 minutes, then you need to go home. You can't do that because they have brakes in K&N. So the pit crew, you just use your own crew. That's not people don't hire a professional crew. In ARCA, you do need a professional pit crew. So it makes a lot more financial sense, and it's faster. The Red Horse Racing is a good example. There are other teams that then they actually have a pit crew school, so they actually make money doing this. It's really interesting that they've got a little niche there that they make money doing it because then they're not necessarily farming out their own guys that work on their team because those are full-time guys that they're basically they have a position there. But there's that you pay to go to school there, and then pretty much after the 6 months that you're done, you're kind of, I don't want to say guaranteed because if you're no good, then they're not going to, people won't hire you. But the goal is to basically like an internship in a sense. You're going to Daytona to work with our teams. And it's possible that somebody from a Cup team or Xfinity team or whatever might say, hey, I want to hire that guy. So it is important. That's ARCA is a really good feature to, the big guys in the Cup and Xfinity to get a lot of employees because it's a development series in a sense, not just for the drivers, also a development series with crew, with with employees. They, if somebody ever got hired and was like, oh, I'm going to Cup, I'd be like, absolutely, go, get that job, go do that, absolutely. So it's interesting. There's a lot of different jobs at ARCA, and then just not the pit crew, but that they end up going and working for some bigger teams. So it's interesting how they kind of make a lot of money doing that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. And that's cool to know too. I didn't think about with K&N, just change it in 5 minutes or something. That's a great money saving thing for those for that whole
it is.
for that whole series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's see.
Because they're focusing a lot on the drivers in K&N. They want the drivers to be developed. They don't waste a lot of money and time and resources on, other things going on that could go wrong that could really hurt a driver's, position or time or chance and get something to happen,
Yep. Sherwin, I've got a quick story for you. This was kind of cool. We'll see where it goes. But I was at McDonald's today. Over at the McDonald's, getting me some lunch, and y'all don't judge. They got a $4 10-piece chicken McNugget right now, and that's including the drink and the fry. Like
goodness.
Oh man.
Chick-fil-A's is like $9.
I know, right? Now I'm thinking of that. I forgot my story. No, I'm kidding. So this the fella that was behind me in line, he had on this racing shirt, but it was some late model car on it, and it was a big old fella. And I didn't really say nothing. He just started kind of messing with people with like the cashier or something, just joking with her, and she was laughing. Like it was all in good fun. And so once sort of the ice was broken between the three of us, because we were all sort of there, I turned to him and I say, "Hey man, I like your shirt there. Who's which car is that? And are you a racer? Do you know somebody?" And he goes, "This is my nephew, Chandler Smith." And I said, "Really, Chandler Smith? Tell me about him. What's he do?" He says he's 14 years old. He's a late model driver, and he starts telling me about him and all this stuff. Well, it ends up Chandler Smith just got 5th in the Snowball Derby.
Goodness gracious!
So I'm sitting there talking to his uncle, and I'm going, "Are you serious? 5th in the Snowball?" He's like, "Oh," and he's kind of like surprised that I know what it is. I'm like, "Down at Five Flags, Pensacola 3 weeks ago." Jeez, So.
We need to get some PETM business cards.
Yeah. I told him. So I took a picture of his shirt. I said, because I want to remember who it is. It's got Chandler Smith's name on the back. 14 years old and 5th. He was the youngest driver in the Snowball Derby. The oldest driver was 47 years older. So there's a 47-year gap there.
Wow.
But yeah. So I'm going to reach out and see if maybe some point we'll bring him on the show or something. But how cool was that? Just seeing that, and you never know where you're going to find some people, whether it's Ashley asking us some fun questions on the Twitter, or or just seeing a guy's T-shirt, or somebody like Mr. Jeffrey Whitler jumping in on this. So we don't have, since we have Ashley J. Stange here today, we figured we'd sub in somebody for the fun question of the week. And so we've got the Words with Wit. I was just talking about Mr. Jeffrey Whitler. He sent us something. We'll call it Words with Wit alongside the Strange with Stange. So, Ashley, this has got to go to you first, obviously. Do you talk to your dog? And when you do talk to your dog, what do you talk about? I kind of begged the question there. I knew what the answer was.
Usually, I'm not probably my husband talks to the dogs. I have 2 miniatures now. They're the most annoying little fuckers I've ever. Oh, I'm so sorry. So I'm usually yelling at them to shut up or something. So talking to them, not so much. But telling them to just shut up, for the love of God, shut up. It's no one's even coming into the house. They'll start barking if they see a spider on the wall. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. So my husband talks to them, and I think it's weird. I think he's talking to me, and I'll come out and I'm like, what did you say? And he's like, "Oh, I'm just talking to this." And I'm like, they don't talk back. So I'm not saying I don't love animals. I just don't love these animals, I guess you could say.
That's hilarious.
So I yell at my dogs. I don't talk to them, I would say.
I got you. Sherwin, I know we both don't own dogs, but we can,
I'll talk at your cat.
Yep.
And it's a whole lot of F you cat.
I was going to say, I think
you talk a lot to your animal, I feel like, if you're a cat person.
I think I've talked to my wife's cat more in terms of like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? What exactly what's your goal right now with all this?
And it depends on whether, so for me, it depends on whether Serena's around. If she's here, obviously I'm nice, and I'm not ever mean to the cat.
Yeah.
Like physically, for sure. I grew up around cats, so I get the cat thing. But I'll definitely, F you, cat.
Now the male cat that we've inherited over the last year or so, she's kind of tamed as well, and he's pretty chill. He doesn't do anything wacko, so he likes to go in and out a little bit. But yeah, he'll I'll confide in him. I'll be like, and his name is Murphy, and I'll call him Murph. I'll be like, Murph, dude, what the hell? Like, let me tell you about something, Murph. Like, there's nobody who's gonna agree with you more than a cat that can't talk back to you. That's just laying there, Let me tell you about what this city did. What was that, Ashley?
I said that's like a great fat cat name, like Murphy, like
Murphy.
Murph.
The Murph.
Big Murph.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Murph is a cool cat when he's not freaking out because he was like an outside cat for 10 years.
Yeah, yeah. Sherwin comes in now. He's like, Murph, what up, hoss? Hey, bud. Good to see you. Oh, well, we've been talking for an hour. I got to tell y'all, I appreciate everybody who has bared with us on the technicality crap that we're going through. I think I've fixed a little bit of it, and I know what to do for next time. Thank you, Ashley, for bearing with us and being our guinea pig on this one. Ashley, we like to give up the you know what? Before we do that, I almost forgot the same question we have to ask everybody who we have on the show.
Yep.
The big last question. What's the one thing you'd change about NASCAR? Whether it's butts in the seats or whatever. You had to know it's coming.
The one thing I've changed about NASCAR is NASCAR.
Uh-oh.
How about that? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No. Aside from, I think they definitely should give every person that buys a ticket a goodie bag of gummy bears because I love gummy bears. But I do think they 100% need to shorten this schedule. It's tough. It's really tough. And I think the fans there's people that travel, some that go literally to every single race,
Mm-hmm.
but it would really help the teams. I'm really more concerned about the teams. It's a drain. It's a drag. There's a lot of people and I know it's their job. I get that it's their job and they need to be there. Absolutely. Of course. But when, I think they need to change that just a little bit, make it easier on the teams, because that's a lot of their life that they don't get to be home with their family. And I'm not saying that's the only reason why. There's a lot of reasons why that needs to happen, but it's a drain on a lot of people. It's a very long season. So that's what I would do. And I want some gummy bears.
And I like the gummy bears one.
What about rummy bears? Have you ever tried rummy bears?
Ooh, I like that idea.
I certainly have not. Definitely have not. But I'm totally going to now. I'm absolutely going to now.
You gotta look up a recipe.
I haven't heard of that either, but I like the idea.
Yeah, you have to. So you buy. The good thing is you get to buy the cheap, crappy ones because when you pour the rum in the bowl, they get soft.
Yeah.
It's how you do it. So you pour. So it's not inside. There's the gushers, or do you know what gushers are?
Oh yeah. No, it's not that. No.
Okay. It's like you pour rum on the gummy bears?
Yeah, you pour your gummy bears in a bowl, and then you pour whatever amount of rum you think is appropriate.
Can I use whiskey?
I think you can use bourbon for sure.
Oh, man.
Or vodka. I think rummy bears is just rhymes with gummy bears.
I like that better.
And I learned this from someone who we went to tech with and was at some point living out in Kansas, and that's, I think, she was going to races, and I was seeing pictures of it on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever. But yeah, you just pour whatever amount of gummy bears you think is right for whatever mix of booze and let it break down for about a day in the fridge, and then you eat.
Eat the gummy bears. I'm digging it. All right, Ashley, it's your podcast now. You tell everybody where to find you, what to promote, what you got going on.
Boy, oh boy. So just at Ashley J. Stange, all opinions are my own, not of the team. I probably should put that on there. And StangeRacing.com. I know our announcements are, although, and I told Rusty this too, we have always, we try to keep up on our web page, but we really are so busy with the team. So StangeRacing.com, and our announcements will be up there. We have a great marketing company that we are now dealing with helping them out as well. So we're going to be a lot more on top of that. And our announcements will be coming out in a few weeks, so they can read about them as well.
Excellent. Well, it's
awesome.
great. Can't tell you how much we appreciate not only being on here today, but contributing on a weekly basis
I appreciate you guys.
to the
Really,
podcast.
you guys are a lot of fun.
And even while you were out, I was frantically trying to find silly would you rather questions while you were out sick, and so we even like to keep you here in spirit for that matter. So as long as we hadn't run you off with this podcast, our guinea pig podcast for it, we appreciate it. And with that, Sherwin, I'm gonna bring up the music here. I'll tell you what.
We need to
I don't know if I'm not sure yet if we're podcasting next week. We hadn't talked about it. It's going into like that weird week after Christmas, before New Year's.
We have to figure out the next weekend thing.
Yep. We got a lot to figure out.
But a Thursday night podcast would fit well, depending.
It could be fun. If we don't talk to everybody, I want to thank everybody. 2016 has been incredible for the podcast. I know people keep talking about screw 2016. 2016 sucks for various reasons, whether it be the celebrities that went out, or if you're not politically aligned with what all has happened. But let me tell you what, if I look back, I like to look back at the positive, and it's been amazing.
For us, it's been fantastic.
Yep.
For sure.
So, thank you, everybody. Oh, and Ashley's calling right back to us. Oh, she's back. So, thank you.
We were closing things out.
Thank you to the PETM posse. Thank you to all the listeners. And with that, I think it's time to hit the jelly beans here.
Jelly bean closeout.
Oh, yeah.
sound.
Oh, yeah. These are good and stale now. They're disgusting.
Well, actually, what we had said is we're not sure if we're doing one next week, so we're kind of saying goodbye to everybody just in case. 2016 has been awesome for us. Yep. While maybe not good for some really cool people and celebrities and stuff.
Well, y'all know where to find us. I got to thank you again for sticking with us through technical difficulties and all kinds of mess today.
Thank you, everybody on the Periscope.
We've had a blast. Periscope, thank you. Oh, I got to look this way now. I was looking over where there is no camera.
Right here.
So, thank you. Cheers to y'all at PETM Podcast, at Tailgate Mayor,
at Pregame ENG.
We'll talk to y'all later.
Thumbs up.
Woo! Perfect.